you choose.
So I decided to add my own touch with the Spider-Man No Way Home. To get started, I needed a good Spider-Man model. I found this decent model on Sketchfab for free and imported it to Blender. Usually after importing a model, I go through it and search for any issues that needed fixing. Here I merged some separator meshes, deleted the overlapping vertices by hitting M and merge by distance. And also, you can use Alt-J to convert tris to quads if you want to. After setting those up, I started tweaking the materials. Because this suit is made out of fabric, I gave it a sheen. Then I used a Musgrave texture. Well, here it is actually a node group that I created using multiple Musgrave textures. So I used that Musgrave noise to break the uniform roughness. Using the base color texture as a height input, I also added a little bump detail to the material. To make things even more real, I imported a knit texture as a non-color profile and set its mapping scale value to a big number. Then use that setup to add some ambient occlusion, roughness and bump to the material. Here I used a very low strength for both bump nodes. Since I didn't want to repeat the same process for every other material, I made this whole thing a node group and use it on other materials. And for the rest of the materials like web pattern and spider logo, I did few changes to the original materials. Nothing complex. For these Spidey eyes, I wanted to have the same look as in the movies where you can clearly see two layers. To achieve that look, I added a solidify modifier and gave it an offset in the materials. What that does is it uses the material in the second slot for the modifier. So, created a new material in the second slot and used a Voronoi texture to create that whole pattern. Whew! Not a bad time to subscribe, don't you think? Before I moved to the rigging stage, I found this model slightly dense to animate. So I decided to get rid of a few vertices. Well, it might not be the perfect way to do this, but I did it anyway. I found some loops and hit X and selected the dissolve edges option. I did this to one side of the mesh so that I could use the mirror modifier to automatically take care of the other side. And because our spider model is symmetrical, I did not face any problems in the textures and UV by doing so. After that weird phase in the process, I decided to rig the character. Here I used a Auto Rig Pro to make things easy and fast. Then I imported the same Captain America shield model that I used in my previous video and changed the texture a little bit. Then I appended the Spider-Man collection to the scene and started posing. Here my default interpolation is set to constant because it helps me to get the key poses right first. After that, I adjust the timing and set the interpolation to Bezier and tweak the animation manually. Like my previous tutorials, again, I used some animation modifiers to make things better. And that's when I found a huge mistake that I should have thought could happen. Since I didn't want to go back, I decided to fix those web patterns manually using shape keys. I created a new shape key and set the value to 1. That's important, otherwise you wouldn't see what you're doing. In sculpt mode, I used the grab brush to reposition the web patterns. And now all I had to do was animate the shape key value from 0 to 1 when Spidey started looking up. I know it's not perfect, but I mean, who's gonna notice that? And for the environment, I imported free scaffolding models and positioned them in the scene, and manually animated some parts of the scaffolding bouncing and sliding on the shield. After that, I added more scratches to the shield and started lighting the scene. Oh, almost forgot the lightning. I added a curve path to the scene, converted to mesh and added a displacement modifier and skin modifier and set the displacement coordinates to global. In the edit mode, I duplicate the vertices, and that's how I created this messy lightning kind of looking thing. Added an emission shader with higher strength, which I later animated using noise animation modifier. Now to lighting. I downloaded this night sky HDRI from HDR Haven and set it to a lower strength. Then using a principal volume node, I added a volume to the area. Then I used few red and blue point lights around Spidey and one spotlight with a very high power to light Spidey from the back. After that, I added a particle system with zero gravity and very low velocity to give that dust look in the air. That was almost it. I mean, I could have added more stuff and filled the spaces, but this looks fine. To do more compositing, I imported the rendered sequence to After Effects and added some glow, color grading, lens distortion, and blah blah blah. And here's the final result. It looks fine. Yeah, it's looks fine. So don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and if you like to support the channel, feel free to do so as well. So until next time,